Hello everyone, my name is Ishmeet Kaur. I am your trainer for the subject Strategic Business Reporting. Today in this video we will discuss chapter number 1 Frameworks. In this chapter we will discuss first of all what the conceptual framework is. What is the meaning of conceptual framework? Why these conceptual framework was introduced? Secondly, we will discuss about IFRS 13 fair value measurement. In fair value measurement, what do you mean by fair value? What is the meaning of active market? What are principal market or most advantageous market? These are the contents of this topic. Okay. So we will start this video by learning objectives. Upon completion of this chapter, you will be able to discuss the importance of conceptual framework in underpinning the production of accounting standards. While the board is developing the accounting standards, what was the conceptual framework of the board? What was the thinking of the board to introduce such standard? We will discuss it in conceptual framework. Next, discuss the objectives of financial reporting, including disclosure of information that can be used to help assess management's stewardship of the entity's resources and the limitations of financial reporting. See, we have already discussed various types of standards in our paper F7 financial reporting. In there, we have discussed a lot of standards like IAS 16 property, plant and equipment, IAS 40 investment property. So, in every standard, there is a disclosure requirement given at the last of the chapter. In disclosure requirements, we have to in addition to the accounting treatment, we have to give disclosures about the contents in our notes to accounts. In this chapter, we will discuss why these disclosure requirements was introduced. Okay. Discuss the nature of qualitative characteristics of useful financial information. Mark this point, this is very important. The whole chapter revolved around this qualitative characteristics. What are the qualitative characteristics that should be in our financial statements? There are basically two qualitative characteristics that has been discussed in this chapter. Okay, the rest of the qualitative characteristics are introduced only to enhance the basic quality. We have to maximize these basic two qualities in our financial statements. Next, explain the prudence and substance over form in financial reporting. Discuss the high-level measurement uncertainty that can make financial information less relevant. Level measurement uncertainty. Uncertainty का meaning and information जो less relevant होगी वो discuss करेंगे हम इस वीडियो में. Next, evaluate the decisions made by management on recognition, derecognition and measurement. For every standard, there are some recognition criteria and derecognition criteria or measurement criteria. In every standard, it is given. What the recognition criteria should be and what the management has adopted recognition criteria, we will discuss it in this chapter. Derecognition and measurement same. Critically and discuss and apply the definition of elements of financial statements. What are the elements of financial statements, or discuss and how to apply them. Discuss and apply the definitions of fair value management and measurement and active market. What the fair value is, it is given in IFRS 13. What is active market, from where we have to adopt our fair value. What is the meaning of active market? We will all discuss it in chapter. Discuss and apply the fair value hierarchy. See, there are basically three levels of fair value hierarchy, level 1, level 2 and level 3. When and why to apply level 1 and level 2, under which circumstances we have to compute fair value from these levels, we will discuss. Discuss and apply the principle of highest and best use, most advantageous and principal market. There are two types of market from where we can trade in our asset. Principal market, most advantageous market. What are the meaning of these these markets we will discuss. Explain the circumstances where an entity may use a valuation technique. So starting our chapter, we will first do introduction. The conceptual framework for financial reporting used by the board when developing or revising an IFRS or IAS standard and by preparers of financial statements when no relevant IFRS or IAS standard exists. So conceptual framework, they said the conceptual framework have to be applied where no IFRS or IAS standard exists. Second, IFRS 13 and fair value measurement, meaning used by the preparers of the financial statement when an IFRS or IAS standard requires or allow the use of fair value measurement. See, in lot of standards there are reference to fair value. What is fair value? Refer to fair value, refer to fair value. So basically what the fair value is, they have made a separate standard for this that is IFRS 13. Conceptual framework for financial reporting introduction. The importance of conceptual framework. A conceptual framework is a set of theoretical principles and concepts that underline the preparation and presentation of the financial statement. So basically this is the meaning of our conceptual framework. Conceptual framework means those principles or concepts which we use in the preparation and presentation of the financial statements. Okay. If no conceptual framework exists, then accounting standard would be produced on a haphazard basis as particular issues and circumstances arose. If the conceptual framework is not developed now, then everybody adopt their values. Every entity adopt their own values according to their situation. So the comparability of our financial statement will deteriorate. Our financial statement will not be comparable in these cases if the conceptual framework does not exist. A strong conceptual framework means that there are principles in place from which all the future accounting standards draw. Conceptual framework is basically the basis for developing our accounting standard. While developing an accounting standard, conceptual framework is referred what should be the treatment of this item in the financial statements. It also acts as a reference point for the preparers of financial statements. Obviously, if there is no standard exist for the particular situation, then we have to refer our conceptual framework. What is the basic idea behind the conceptual framework, and accordingly we have to prepare our financial statements. Next. This section of the text considered the contents of conceptual framework for financial reporting in more detail. We have discussed it already. So next part of our chapter is background of conceptual framework, how these conceptual framework was developed, what was the purpose, why these changes were made, we will all discuss. The framework for the presentation and preparation of financial statement was issued in 1989. In 1989, conceptual framework was introduced. But after that, in 2004, US Financial Accounting Standard Board come up with a revise their respective accounting framework, As a result of this, the board issued conceptual framework for financial reporting in 2010. Most of the text from the 1989 framework was simply rolled over, but 2 chapters were revised. So basically in 1989 our conceptual framework was introduced, but in 2004 US Financial Accounting Standard Board come up with a project to revise these frameworks, and then in 2010 the US Financial Accounting Standard Boards come up with a new conceptual framework for financial reporting. Most of the items of these framework were rolled over, that is same as that of 1989 framework, but these covered the few things were revised. Which were the few things? The objectives of the financial reporting and qualitative characteristics. These two things were the idea behind these two things were changed. What was objective of the financial framework, and next qualitative characteristics of financial information, these two were changed. Rest of the things were same as that of 1989 framework. The board and the Financial Accounting Standard Board subsequently substandard work on this. Several criticism emerged of the 2010 conceptual framework. It did not cover certain areas such as de-recognition and presentation and disclosure. So 2010 में conceptual framework एक नया आया, but इसके कुछ criticism हुए. Criticism क्या थे कि that particular framework does not provide criteria for de-recognition and presentation and disclosure. Guidance in some areas was unclear, such as with regards to measurement uncertainty. There was measurement uncertainty in that area. Where there is measurement uncertainty, we are not able to come up with a value, quantitative value. That area was not discussed in that financial reporting framework. Which financial reporting framework? Which was introduced in 2010. Then some aspects were out of date, such as recognition criteria for assets and liability. Recognition criteria for assets and liabilities was not changed. Even they are outdated. As a result of criticism, the conceptual framework was identified as a priority project. So in 2012, board started this project. इन criticism को देखते हुए उन्होंने क्या किया, 2012 में दोबारा से इस पे काम करना शुरू किया. The board restarted this project with without FASB this time. So, Financial Accounting Standard Board was not involved in 2012. A disclosure paper outlining the board's thinking was published in 2013 and an exposure draft of the proposed amendments was published in 2015. Okay. Feedback from these documents informed the revised conceptual framework, which was published in 2018. So, finally, they need to change the conceptual framework. They understand the need to change the conceptual framework in 2012. So, what did they do? They in 2013, they published a broad outline thinking behind the change conceptual framework to receive various feedbacks from the users. Then in 2015, after receiving these feedbacks, what did they do? They just make a draft, exposure draft of the conceptual framework and issued it in 2015 so that they can again receive the feedback on the revised framework. Finally, after working on the feedbacks received, they published the framework in 2018. This was the history of our conceptual framework. What was the history? Let's summarize in brief. First of all, we have a conceptual framework in 1989. Then, US Financial Accounting Standard Board started a joint project to revise the conceptual framework in which year? 2004. Finally, in 2010, US Financial Accounting Standard Board issues this conceptual framework in 2010. But most of the items, most of the treatments in these statements was same as that of 1989. Only two things were changed. Which two things? Objective of financial reporting and qualitative characteristics of the financial information was changed. But this framework, after introducing it 2010, receives a lot of criticism. What the criticism was on the these standard conceptual framework was criticized on three bases, such as कौन से de-recognition and presentation disclosures was not given importance in this framework. Measurement uncertainty, the elements or the areas in which there is measurement uncertainty was not considered. What we have to do in this, if there is measurement uncertainty, was not prescribed under this conceptual framework clearly. Then, some aspects of were out of date, such as recognition criteria for assets and liabilities. Assets and liabilities have changed a lot. So, the criteria prescribed in conceptual framework was outdated. Then in 2012, after receiving this criticism on these point basis, the board decided to change the conceptual framework, but this time without FASB, without Financial Accounting Standard Board. Then what the board do? They just prepare an board's thinking that was published in 2013 to receive feedbacks, and then after receiving feedbacks, they work on feedbacks. Then they come up in 2015 with the exposure draft. After receiving again feedbacks, they work on feedbacks again, and then in 2018 finally conceptual framework was introduced. Okay. Up next है the purpose of conceptual framework. The purpose of conceptual framework is to assist the board when developing new IFRS standards. We have already discussed this point. The conceptual framework was introduced to know what the thinking of the board, yeah, what is the thinking of that accounting treatment in our accounting standard. When the board is developing new IFRS, what should be the thinking behind that standard. Then preparers of financial statements when no IFRS exists. This point we have already covered. In this point we have seen that what should preparers do. What should the preparers do of financial statement in case there is no IFRS exist? All parties when understanding and interpreting IFRS standards. All other users of financial statements when interpreting the financial statements. What should be the set standard? It is given in our conceptual framework. Then, the objectives of financial reporting. The conceptual framework states that the purpose of financial reporting is to provide information to current and potential investors. Information to current and potential investors, lenders and other creditors that will enable them to make decisions and providing economic resources to an entity. The purpose of conceptual framework was to help the users of financial statement, who are the persons which are users of the financial statements, current and potential investors, lenders and other creditors. Why should they provide resources to the company while analyzing financial statements of a company? Their basis for their analysis is our conceptual framework. Okay? Next, if investors, lenders and creditors are going to make these decisions, then they require information that will help them to assess an entity's potential future cash flows and management stewardship of the entity's economic resources. So basically, while analyzing these financial statements, our potential users are interested in knowing what are the various sources in far future or in near future from where the entity is going to generate cash so that they can receive their payment. And next, management stewardship of the entity's economic resources. What is the approach of the management while using its economic resources? They are using it efficiently or they are not using it efficiently. They are receiving maximum benefit from their resources or not, because their money element is involved in this entity. To assess an entity's future cash flows, users need information about economic resources of the entity, example assets, economic claims against the entity, example liabilities and equity, changes in economic resources and claims, example income and expenses. So basically, while assessing about the future cash flows of this entity, a user need to know what are the various resources from where entity can generate their future cash flows. And then what are the economic claims, that is what are the various places that where these resources will be used. Then changes in these economic resources and claims, which are our income and expenses. Then next topic, qualitative characteristics of useful financial information. In this topic, we will discuss what should be the qualitative characteristics of the financial statement so as to enhance the quality of our financial statements. There are two qualities prescribed in our conceptual framework. First is relevant and next is faithful representation. The information which is disclosed in the financial statement should be relevant. There are a lot of transactions, there are a lot of information which we have to disclose in our financial statement. But which information is relevant, which information is important, only that information is to be disclosed. And when we have decided about the relevancy of the information, then The information should be disclosed faithfully. Faithful representation of entities transaction. All the transactions which are relevant are shown in the financial statement done. First quality done, and next faithful representation of entities transaction. Relevance and faithful representation are the fundamental characteristics of the useful financial information. So basically these are the basic, very basic fundamental characteristics which are to be shown in the financial statements. First, then next we will discuss how to evaluate these relevance and these characteristics, that is relevance and financial faithful representation. Relevance. Relevant information will make an impact on the decision made by the users of the financial statement. Every information from which the users of the financial statement can take their decision, or information which can change their decision, is relevant for us, and we have to show it in financial statements. Next, relevance requires management to consider materiality. Here the concept of materiality have been introduced. Information which is material means which is important, is to be shown. An item is material if omitting, misstating or obscuring it would influence the economic decision of the users. बेसिकली मतलब क्या हुआ कि एक आइटम जो है अगर उसकी मिसस्टेटमेंट या अगर उसकी ओमिटिंग, मिसस्टेटमेंट मतलब गलत रिप्रेजेंट कर देना और ओमिट करना मतलब उसको फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में लेके ही ना आना, अगर ये दो चीजों से इकोनॉमिक डिसीजन ऑफ द यूजर्स हैव बीन चेंज्ड, देन दिस इंफॉर्मेशन इज relevant. So they have given in these lines the criteria for judging the relevance of the information. Next, faithful representation. A faithful representation of a transaction would represent its economic substance rather than its legal form. Take an example. We have discussed in our financial reporting paper F7. We have done consolidation there. In consolidation, we have discussed that the entities which have consolidated, which have combined, they are although legally separated, but only for the purpose of seeing group results, we prepare consolidated financial statement. This is called substance over form. The legal form is separate, but substance is that we want to see the group's result. Okay. So the faithful representation, what is faithful representation का मतलब क्या हुआ? Faithful representation का मतलब हुआ कि जो substance over legal form को जो है वो enhance करे, ठीक है? अब a perfectly faithful representation would be complete, neutral, free from error. These are the three requirements basically. The information should be complete in itself. The information should not be incomplete, neutral, free from error. If these characteristics exist, all these three requirements exist in our information, then this is faithful representation. The board note is that this is not fully achievable, but these qualities should be maximized. So these are the qualities which we cannot be quantified. We cannot consider a set criteria कि यही आपने अचीव करना है, बट दीज क्वालिटीज शुड बी एट मैक्सिमम इन आवर फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट, ठीक है? व्हेन प्रिपेयरिंग फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्ट्स, प्रिपेयर शुड एक्सरसाइज प्रूडेंस. Prudence means that assets and incomes are not overstated and liabilities and expenses are not understated. However, this does not mean that assets and income should be purposefully understated or liabilities and expenses purposefully overstated. Such intentional misstatements are not neutral. So basically they said the meaning of neutral, what the neutral is. Neutral means when we are not changing the amounts of our assets, liabilities or income or expenses for achieving desired results. For example, we have discussed in financial reporting that current ratio. What the formula for current ratio is? Formula for current ratio was current assets upon current liabilities, and idle current ratio was 0.51, 2:1, sorry. ठीक है. 2:1 ratio was considered ideal current ratio. So to achieve these ratios, we should not manipulate our amounts of assets and liabilities. Okay. Then enhancing characteristics. Then we will discuss in this next topic is enhancing characteristics. To enhance the basic two qualities. What are the two basic qualities? Relevance and faithful representation. We have to consider other characteristics which will enhance these two qualities. These are comparability. Investors should be able to compare an entity's financial information year on year and entity's financial information with another. What do you mean by comparability? Comparability means when our financial statements are able to compare from past financial statements of our entity and with another financial statement of another entity in the same segment. Okay. Our financial statement should be comparable. When we are that's the reason behind the conceptual framework or behind the accounting standards. They have introduced financial conceptual framework for this purpose only, so that entities can compare their financial statement from different entities. Because without conceptual framework or without accounting standard, comparability will deteriorate in our financial statements. Next, timeliness. Older information is less useful. Always consider that latest information is always helpful. If our financial statement is not able to grasp market news, latest market news, then our financial statement is not useful. That's why the concept of the conceptual framework is shifting from historical cost to fair value method. Because fair value method is derived from the market which is latest and historical cost is old. Okay. Next, verifiability. Knowledgeable users should be able to agree that a particular description of a transaction offers a faithful representation. So basically, the financial statement should be able to verify from the other set standards. This is called verifiability. This will increase the which quality? For faithful representation. Then understandability. Every transaction shown in the financial statement should be understandable. They should be according to the standard criteria which have prescribed in the accounting standards or conceptual framework. Next, cost constraint. Producing financial reports take time and cost money. When developing IFRS standard, the board assess whether the benefits of reporting particular information outweigh the cost involved in providing it. This is very important point, mark it. This point says when we are representing or when we are showing a financial information in our financial statements, the cost of providing it should not exceed the benefit of providing it. Means the benefit, matlab the board assess whether the benefits of reporting should not be greater, should not be less than the cost of providing it. If the cost exceeds, we should not provide it. ठीक है. Next standard IFRS 16 leases, which is replaced by IAS 17. Leases standard has been replaced. Earlier there was IAS 17, then new standard was introduced, IFRS 16. The basic idea behind this standard was to change lessee accounting. Lesser accounting was same in both the standard. In old standard IAS 17, lesser recognition, lesser accounting treatment in the books of lesser, and in the IFRS 7, the books accounting treatment in the books of lesser is same. The main purpose was to change the accounting treatment of lessee in the books of lessee. Why they do so? IAS 17 radically changed lessee accounting by requiring all leases to recognize an asset and liability at the inception of the lease. However, IFRS 16 does not change the accounting treatment of leases by lesser. Accounting treatment of lesser, accounting treatment adopted by lessers is same in IAS 17 and IFRS 16. ठीक है, this was because most stakeholder did not believe the requirement. What was the requirement? To change the accounting treatment of lessee. If they would also change the accounting treatment of lessor, then the cost of providing it would exceed the benefit derived from it. So there was no use. ठीक है, this was because most stakeholders did not believe the requirements relating to lessor in IAS 17 were broken. The perceived time and cost involved in implementing substantial changes to lessor accounting treatment was therefore believed to outweigh any benefits. Understand? Next, financial statements and the reporting entity. The conceptual framework notes that financial statements are a particular type of financial report. Basically, our financial statement is a type of financial report which gives us the detailed report what happened during the year, what are the transactions which have occurred during the year, what are the results of these transactions, what is the future of the entity, what is the cash generating ability of the entity. We all gather all this information from our financial statement. So basically we can say that the financial statements are a financial report. The purpose of financial statement is to provide information to users about an entity's assets, liabilities, equity, income and expenses. These financial statements provide information about what are assets, what are the assets of the financial statements, what are the liabilities, from where the entity is generating income and detailed about expenses or equity. This information is provided in statement of financial position or statement of financial performance, which is our P&L, statement of profit or loss. Financial position is our balance sheet, which let us know that what are the position of our assets and liability on that particular date. And statement of financial position, financial performance is our statement of profit or loss, from which we came to know that what are the incomes from where, what are the sources from where the entity has derived its income, or what are the sources from where these incomes have been spent, that is our expenses. Financial statements are prepared on the assumption that the entity is going concern. We have already learned about going concern approach. This means that it will continue to operate for foreseeable future. This is the assumption in our going concern approach. In going concern approach, we assume that the entity will not liquidate in near future. Okay? If this assumption is not accurate, then financial statement should be prepared on a different basis. If we are considering, अगर हमें ऐसा लगता है कि आने वाले कुछ टाइम में गोइंग कंसर्न अप्रोच जो है वो सेटिस्फाई नहीं होगी, तो हम अपनी फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स प्रिपेयर करने का क्राइटेरिया या मेथड जो है वो चेंज कर देते हैं. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट, the reporting entity. A reporting entity is one that prepares financial statements either through choice or as a result of legal requirements. To some, there is legal requirements to prepare financial statement, or some entities who prepare on their own choice. Financial statement produced for two or more entities that are not parent subsidiaries are called combined financial statements. ठीक है. So basically, in consolidation, we have seen that when two entities combine and a parent-subsidiary relationship develop. Parent-subsidiary relationship कब develop होता था? When we have obtained control over the another entity of more than 50% of the share capital. ठीक है? Or we can say when the control is passed by one entity to another entity. The entity to whom the control has been passed is called parent entity, and the entity which is controlled is called subsidiary entity. It can be difficult. And next in इसमें उन्होंने ये कहा है कि when we are not preparing financial statements in parent subsidiary relationship, we will call it combined financial statements rather than using the word consolidated financial statements. It can be difficult in these circumstances to determine the boundary of reporting entity. Note that conceptual framework does not stipulate how or when to prepare combined financial statements. Although the board may develop a standard this issue in the future. In today's scenario, in today's conceptual framework, there is no set standard in which there is no prescribed circumstances under which we have to prepare combined financial statements. ठीक है, the board may decide it in future through a standard. That is, board जो है वो नए एक standard के साथ आ सकता है, in which the circumstances will be provided, in which the circumstances will be listed. जब हमें combined financial statements बनानी होगी. Financial statements produced for a reporting entity that comprises a parent company and its subsidiaries are called consolidated financial statements. We have already discussed when a parent subsidiary relationship is set, when an entity acquires another entity and obtain control of another entity, then we call it as parent subsidiary. And then under those circumstances we call those financial statement as consolidated financial statements. These financial statements show the parent and its subsidiary as a single economic unit. They have used the word economic unit, not legal unit. We are not a single entity because legally they are individual. Legally they are separate, but to see the performance of the group as a whole, we have prepared consolidated financial statements. This information is important for investors in the parent because their economic returns are dependent on distributions from the subsidiary to parent. Unconsolidated financial statement also provide useful information to investors in a parent company, but they are not substitute for information provided in consolidated financial statement. Although unconsolidated financial statement, that is the individual financial statements of parent and subsidiary, are useful for the investors to analyze. But if I want to see the group's result as a whole, then I have to refer to the consolidated financial statement. Done. Next is elements of financial statements. The elements are building blocks of the financial statement. Building blocks means they are generally the blocks from which financial statements are prepared. Statements of financial position report assets, liabilities and equity. Financial position on a particular date. What are the assets, liabilities or equity that the entity has on a particular date? We state it in statement of financial position. Then, statement of financial performance report income and expenses. What are the sources of income? What are the transactions of expenses? What are the sources of what are the expenses which are incurred during the year by the entity? We all state it in financial performance, that is our statement of profit or loss. Next, economic resource. Basically, they are defining what the economic resource is. Now let us know what are the financial economic resource. Asset. A present economic resource controlled by an entity as a result of past event. What do you mean by economic resource? Means a present economic resource which is held by an entity today. Economic resource basically means which is helping the entity to generate income, to generate cash flows. But this is called economic resource as a result of past event. Economic resource, what is asset? Next. Then what is economic claim? Economic claims means liability. What is liability? Present obligation. Matlab this is the obligation of an entity to transfer an economic resource. Under this obligation, the entity has to transfer an economic resource as a result of past event. ठीक है? Next है equity. Equity means owner's capital. What is the amount of owner's capital involved in the entity? Residual interest in the net assets of the entity. Residual means बचा कुचा, जो interest रह जाता है after providing for all liabilities This is what we call equity, residual interest in the net assets of the entity. ठीक है. Next, changes in economic resources and claims as a result of financial performance. फाइनेंशियल परफॉर्मेंस में चेंजेस कहां से आते हैं? इनकम्स की वजह से और एक्सपेंसेस की वजह से. इनकम, व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ इनकम? इंक्रीज इन एसेट्स और डिक्रीज इन लायबिलिटी. When the assets are increased or liabilities are decreased, the income is generated. That result in an increase to equity. Obviously, when the assets are increased, equity, that is residual interest, will also increase. And when the liabilities are decreased, obviously equity will also decrease. Equity, will also increase. This is what we call income. Then what is the meaning of expenses? The expenses are exact opposite of income. When there is a decrease in asset, when the assets are decreased, our equity जो residual interest है वो decrease हो जाएगा. Next, or increase in liabilities, then also the residual interest will, that is our equity, will decrease. This is called expenses. ठीक है. So they have changed the viewpoint of income and expenses from the viewpoint you have covered earlier in the earlier levels. Other changes in economic resources, contribution from and distribution to equity holders are not considered here. When we contribute to the equity or we have distribute to the equity holders, when we distribute to the equity holders, these are not considered in asset, liability, income or expenses. Or exchange of assets and liability that do not increase, decrease equity. Next, an economic resource is a right that has the potential to produce economic benefits. What is the meaning of economic resource? Economic resource is basically the potential right. Which right? Potential right of the user, of the holder of the economic resource to receive benefit from it. ठीक है. Next, recognition and measurement. Recognition. Items are only recognized in the financial statement if they meet the definition of one of the elements. However, not all the items meeting these definitions are recognized. So, recognition criteria, now we are familiar with this word. In recognition criteria, what the basically approach behind the recognition criteria? Remember, we have studied IAS 16, property, plant and equipment. In that standard, or in almost every standard we have studied in FR, there was 2 criteria prescribed for every element. Recognition criteria. Recognition criteria suggest or give us the requirements on the basis of which we will introduce our financials, that particular element in our financial statements. Right. Next, we have studied about measurement criteria. If the recognition criteria is satisfied, that is, once we have decided that that particular element should be introduced in the financial statements, we will come next at the next level, which is measurement criteria. Elements are recognized if the recognition provides users with the useful financial information. So basically, what the approach of every recognition criteria in the conceptual framework was, the approach of the framework was that that element should be recognized only which provide useful information to the users of the financial statement. That is relevance. Our qualitative, our basic fundamental qualitative characteristics. Useful financial information means relevance. In other words, recognition must provide relevant information. आ गया वही word relevance, उन्होंने खुद ही describe कर दिया. A faithful representation of the asset or liability resulting income, expenses or equity movements. That is, when once we have decided that the element is relevant, then we will decide what should be the faithful representation. Faithful representation was decided by measurement criteria. On what basis these financial statements should, these elements should be quantified in the financial statement. What should be the amount? that should be recognized in the financial statement. From this criteria, measurement criteria, faithful representation was decided. ठीक है? Next, recognition might not provide relevant information if there is uncertainty over the existence of one of the element. If there is low probability of an inflow or outflow of economic resources. They are saying basically that if the probability of inflow or outflow of financial economic resources is low, then there is no need to recognize an element. ठीक है? Next topic, recognition of an element might not provide a faithful representation if there is very high degree of measurement uncertainty. We have to achieve the quality of faithful representation in our financial statement. But if an element has very high degree of measurement uncertainty, then the question may arise on faithful representation. The quality of faithful representation in that case will not be maximized because we are not able to come up with a definite value of that element. Done. Next, judgment is required in deciding if recognition of an element is appropriate. This is why specific recognition criteria vary from one IFRS standard to another. Judgment is involved in deciding. In which area judgment in this involved? Whether to recognize a particular element or not. Whether it is appropriate to recognize that element or not. This is why specific this is the reason where this is the reason कि हर एक स्टैंडर्ड का रिकॉग्निशन क्राइटेरिया जो है वो डिफरेंट है. ठीक है? If an asset or liability is not recognized, disclosures may be required to ensure users fully understand the reporting entity's economic transaction. If we are not able to measure our element, or we are not able to decide whether to recognize an element in the financial statement or not, we will disclose it in our notes to accounts. And the implication that these may have on future earnings of the and future cash flows. And if that event occurs, for example, a court case is pending in the court and we are not able to derive the results of the court case on the reporting date of the entity, then we have to disclose it in the notes to accounts. If we lose the court case or if we win the court case, then these will be the result. These will be the effects on our profits. ठीक है? Next, understanding 1. Understanding 1. Bottle operates in a publishing industry. Okay. The Bottle brand is highly respected and as a result, the books published by the Bottle receive extensive coverage both online and in national and international press. ठीक है? The brand is internally generated and in accordance with IAS 38, intangible assets is not recognized in the Bottle's financial statements. ठीक है? We have discussed already IAS 38 in our FR syllabus. In that IAS 38, we have discussed that the intangible assets which are internally generated should not be recognized in the financial statements. Only that intangible assets have to be recorded which are purchased from another entity. ठीक है? Discuss the extent to which the accounting treatment of the Bottle brand is consistent with the conceptual framework. Basically, we have to compare it the suggested accounting treatment under IAS 38 and what the conceptual framework say about this. The conceptual framework say two things. We have to recognize an element only when it is relevant. The brand is relevant because most of the income of the brand come because of the name of the brand. ठीक है? Published, here it is written that published by Bottle receive extensive coverage both online and in national international press. So the information that we are trying to recognize in our financial statement is relevant. There is no doubt in it. But what about faithful representation? The brand is an internally generated intangible asset. We are not able to measure the value of it. So, if we value this item on an hypothetical basis, then this will not lead to an faithful representation. ठीक है? So let us read the answer. What the answer is given in your book. The brand is an economic resource controlled by bottle. It has potential to bring economic benefits because that bottle brand books receive. Despite meeting the definition of an element, the brand is not recognized in the financial statement. Although the brand has satisfied the definition of an element, that is, it has satisfied that it is an asset for the entity. Why this is an asset for the entity? Because it is helping in generating income to the entity. However, the conceptual framework states that elements should only be recognized if this provides relevant information or faithful representation of the asset or liability. If there is high degree of measurement uncertainty, then recognition may not provide a faithful representation. That's what we have discussed just a moment ago. कि अगर faithful representation, अगर मैं अपने intangible asset को मेजर नहीं कर पा रही हूँ तो फेथफुल रिप्रेजेंटेशन नहीं है वो. अकॉर्डिंगली अवर कंसेप्चुअल फ्रेमवर्क जो है वो मेरा सेटिस्फाई नहीं करेगा टू क्वालिटेटिव कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स. द कॉस्ट ऑफ एन इंटरनली जनरेटेड ब्रांड कैनॉट बी रिलायबली मेजर्ड. दिस इज बिकॉज द कॉस्ट ऑफ सेटिंग अप एंड डेवलपिंग द ब्रांड cannot be separated from the operating cost of the business. The fair value of the brand is also very difficult to determine because फेयर वैल्यू हम कहाँ से डिटरमिन करते हैं? मार्केट से. और मार्केट में ऐसा कोई सेम एसेट है नहीं क्योंकि हर एक ब्रांड की अपनी एक आइडेंटिटी है. ठीक है. Thus, it would seem that the accounting treatment of the brand as per IAS 38 is consistent with the conceptual framework. That is, हमारे conceptual framework और हमारा IAS 38 जो है वो आपस में consistent है. दोनों ही सेम बात करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. ठीक है. Next, derecognition. Derecognition is the removal of some or all of the asset or liability from the statement of financial position. What do you mean by derecognition? The derecognition means when an asset or liability is to be excluded from our financial statement. This normally occurs when the entity loses control of the asset or has no present obligation for the liability. When the asset loses control over our asset or when our obligation in respect to that liability has been satisfied, then we have to derecognize that particular asset or liability. ठीक है. Accounting for derecognition should faithfully represent the changes in an entity's net asset as well as assets or liabilities retained. Accounting for derecognition जो है उसमें भी उन्होंने ये कह दिया कि there should be faithful representation. Although no doubt it is relevant, but there should be faithful representation. This is achieved by derecognizing any transferred, expired or consumed component, recognizing a gain or loss on the above, and recognize any retained component. In our asset and liability, which is transferred, a right to use benefit or right to receive benefit has been expired from that asset. Then we have to recognize that part of the asset and the balance which we have retained or for the part which we have control for that part, then we have to retain it in our financial statements. Sometimes an entity might appear to have transferred an asset or liability. However, derecognition would not be appropriate if exposure to variation in the element's economic benefit is retained. कई बार क्या होता है कि हमारे राइट्स में या हमारी ऑब्लिगेशंस में सिर्फ कुछ चेंजेस आते हैं, बट इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि वो चेंजेस की वजह से हम डीरिकॉग्निशन कर रहे हैं. हमने चेंजेस को अब्सॉर्ब करके अकॉर्डिंगली हमने क्या करना है, अपने जो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में अमाउंट्स हैं वो चेंज करने हैं. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट है डीरिकॉग्निशन. एन एग्जांपल, an entity sells a building for 2 million and retains the right to buy it back for 3 million in 5 years time. Okay, entity presently sold the building, but the entity has the right in for 5 years to buy it for 3 million again. At the date of sale, the building had a fair value of 7 million. Property prices are expected to rise. Okay. The entity does not de-recognize the building because the entity will not de-recognize the building here because the entity still has the right to purchase it again in next 5 years. Its statement of financial position. The entity has not lost control over the building because its ability to buy the building back for substantial less than the fair value enables it benefit from the future price rises. ठीक है? When on the date of building, the fair value of the building was 7 million and it is expected to rise in the near future. That is, the entity can receive benefit by purchasing it at less prices and then selling it again at high prices. So, we will not de-recognize the building here because from that particular right, the entity can derive its benefits. The cash received would be recognized as loan liability. Instead, we will recognize it as loan liability. Which cash received? 2 million cash received. The amount of 2 million will be recognized at loan liability. If the intention of the entity is to acquire back that building in next 5 years for 3 million. Done. Next is measurement. When recognized in the financial statements, elements must be quantified in monetary terms. Till in this chapter, we have discussed about qualitative characteristics and what are the basic qualitative characteristics, relevance and faithful representation. Now, again, next part we will discuss in next topic. Sorry, we have discussed that our recognition criteria. When the asset or liability should be recognized, whether to recognize an asset or liability or not. Now, in this topic, we will discuss measurement on what amount should be quantified against such asset or liability. The conceptual framework outlines two measurement bases. The measurement should be quantified, the asset should or liability should be quantified on these two bases. Which are the bases? Historical cost or current value. Selecting a measurement base. The information provided to users by the management base must be useful. In other words, it must be relevant and offer a faithful representation of the transaction that have occurred. Again, they are referring fundamental qualitative characteristics. Again, they are saying while deciding about the measurement basis, we have to again consider two qualitative characteristics. Which are the two? The measurement base should be relevant and faithfully represented. Okay. When selecting a measurement base, the conceptual framework states that the relevance is maximized if the following are considered: the characteristics of the asset or liability, the ways in which the asset or liabilities contribute to future cash flows. While deciding about the measurement criteria, we have to consider characteristics of the asset or liability and what amount of future cash flows which the entity will give or receive from that particular asset or liability. ठीक है? Done हो गया? Next, this applies to the board when developing or revising an IFRS standard. Again, conceptual framework is used by the board for developing IFRS standard. This measurement basis will also be used in developing IFRS standard. It also applies to preparers of financial statement when applying an IFRS standard that permits a choice of measurement basis. Permits a choice means in IAS 16 we have discussed that in IAS 16 for property, plant and equipment, it gives two choices to measure a property, plant and equipment. Either we measure it on the basis of historical cost, that is the cost on which we have purchased the asset, or fair value, that is revaluation model. Revaluation model का मतलब, revaluation model means we compare our value at the end of every year from the market and then accordingly we do changes in that value. ठीक है? This is what we call revaluation model. And then while considering, when the standard gives choice between these two methods, we have to consider our conceptual framework. What the conceptual framework say? Our conceptual framework say we have to choose that model which gives relevance, which is relevance for our asset and liability, and next which give faithful representation. Done? ठीक है. Next, IAS 40. They have taken the example of IAS 40, which is applicable for investment property. The properties which was held for the purpose of, which is held by an entity for the purpose of investments. Offers a choice of accounting policy. MIST might choose the fair value model if they intend to sell the asset, because this most faithfully represent the future cash flows they will receive from its eventual disposal. ठीक है. फेयर वैल्यू मॉडल सेज कि कितना फ्यूचर कैश फ्लोज मुझे आएगा कि अगर मैं इस एसेट, पर्टिकुलर एसेट और लायबिलिटी को मार्केट में सेल करने जाऊं. अल्टीमेटली वो मार्केट की वैल्यू ले रहे हैं. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट, द कॉस्ट मॉडल इफ दे हैव नो इंटेंशन ऑफ सेलिंग द प्रॉपर्टी बिकॉज दिस बेस्ट मैचेस द रेंटल इनकम जनरेटेड. बट note that the MIST might have no intention of selling the asset but still conclude that the fair value model provides the most relevant information about the building to financial statement users. This might because increase in property prices will enable MIST to charge higher rents to its tenants, thus contributing to greater net cash inflows. So basically what they are saying, if we adopt fair value model, we will also be able to increase our rental incomes if there is an increase in the fair value. This will be the basis against which we can increase our rental income. ठीक है. Presentation and disclosure. Effective presentation and disclosure. So what the meaning of effective presentation and disclosure we will discuss in this topic. ठीक है. Effective presentation and disclosure is a balance between allowing entities to flexibly report relevant information about their financial performance and position and requiring information that enables comparison to be drawn year on year with entities. Effective presentation and disclosure means how the financial statement should be presented, how the financial information should be disclosed in the financial statements, so that the comparability characteristic of the financial statement can be enhanced. Our financial statements can be comparable from the other entities. The way we have to represent an information in our financial statement is effective presentation and disclosure. On the basis of this, we will decide our comparability characteristic, whether it is maximized or it is minimized. ठीक है. The board believes that entity-specific information is more useful than standardized description. Obviously, the circumstances, the events which affect the entity is relevant to that particular entity, and we have to disclose it rather than going to standardized criteria. ठीक है. Duplication makes financial information less understandable. Obviously, if we try to duplicate our financial statement, then it will be less understandable, even it is manipulated to some extent. If we try to duplicate our criteria. ठीक है. Classification. Classification of an asset or liability into separate components may provide relevant information if the components have different characteristics. Consider an example. From this example, we will discuss this topic. At the reporting date, Bottled owned 10 million into a bank. 1 million of this loan is due for repayment within 12 months and is presented as current liability. The remaining 9 million is presented as non-current liability. So, what is the purpose of differentiating this 10 million loan? The 10 million loan is from same bank. Then what is the purpose of disclosing it in current liability 1 million and non-current liability 9 million? The purpose of disclosing it is that यूजर्स को पता लग सके कि 1 मिलियन इज ड्यू इन next 12 months. The cash flow of 1 million will occur. The cash outflow of 1 million will occur in next 12 months. And the cash flow of rest of the 9 million will occur after the 1 year. This is the purpose of classifying assets into non-current assets and non-current liability, and our liability and the purpose of classifying our liability into current liability and non-current liability. This is the main purpose behind which the users came to know what are the expected cash inflow and expected cash outflow of the entity in the next 1 year. Okay. If we do not bifurcate this 10 million in our balance sheet, then how we can came to know that there is expected cash outflow of 1 million in next 1 year. ठीक है? Then classifying the liability in this way provides additional information to users which help them to assess Bottled's future cash flows. They have given it, as well as its solvency position, both long term and short term. We can assess the solvency position, whether the entity is able to give this 1 million in next 1 year, or whether the entity is generating enough cash flows so that it can pay 10 million loan after 1 year or 9 million loan after 1 year. ठीक है? Offsetting classified dissimilar items together and is therefore generally not appropriate. If in our balance sheet, consider an example in our balance sheet now, a financial asset and a financial liability is appearing from the same entity. If we try to offset it, then we can offset it, both financial asset and financial liability. हमारी बैलेंस शीट में क्या हो रहा है, एक फाइनेंशियल एसेट अपीयर कर रहा है और फाइनेंशियल लायबिलिटी अपीयर कर रहा है. बोथ आर फ्रॉम द सेम एंटिटी. If we offset these items, then there will be no difference. But अगर different entities से हैं, एक entity से financial asset है, दूसरे entity से financial liability है, तब हम offset नहीं कर सकते. ठीक है? यही वो कह रहे हैं, offsetting classify the dissimilar items together is not appropriate. ठीक है? Next. Classification and example. E has 3 million in an account with Animal Bank. This money earns 1% interest per year. Okay. The balance is presented in E statement of financial position as current assets. ठीक है? 1% per year interest है and 3 million का loan है. E also has 1 million overdraft in an account held with Sotro Bank. This incurs an interest charge of 10% a year. This overdraft is presented in E statement of financial position as current liability. E must not offset this 3 million cash balance with the 1 million. देखो, the 3 million is entity's asset and the 1 million is entity's liability. This means we cannot offset these two assets and liabilities. The cash balance and the overdraft have different characteristics, and risk and offsetting would obscure these differences. Separate classification provide relevant information to the users of the financial statement. If we offset this item, this means that we are held with 1 million cash balance. It is not true, because we have to pay interest 10% on 1 million and 1% on 3 million. The interest amount is different. Cash inflows and outflows will be different. So, offsetting these will not be appropriate. ठीक है? Next part is aggregation. In what circumstances we can aggregate an asset on liability? We will discuss it in this chapter. ठीक है? Aggregation refers to adding together of items that have shared characteristics or similar characteristics. The items which have similar characteristics or shared characteristics are added, whether it is to be added or not. Aggregation is useful because it summarizes information that would otherwise be too detailed. There are, again I am saying, there are a lot of financial information. These information have to be arranged in a systematic manner. A detailed information, a too long information will confuse the users of the financial statements. However, too much aggregation obscures relevant information. We should not aggregate too much of the information. This means that we should not aggregate too much of the information so that the characteristics of the information or the result which we can derive from seeing that financial statement may change. ठीक है? Different levels of aggregation will be required throughout the financial statement. For example, the statement of profit or loss may be heavily aggregated, but accompanying disclosure notes will disaggregate the information. We can aggregate the information, it is allowed by our conceptual framework, but we have to disclose that these items are aggregated, these expenses are aggregated and shown at administration cost. These incomes are aggregated. ठीक है? Profit or loss and other comprehensive income. The conceptual framework states that the statement of profit or loss is the primary source of information about an entity's financial performance. Okay. Profit or loss is the primary source of information which status of financial performance of an entity during the year. As such, the income and expenses should normally be recognized in this statement. All the incomes which are generated during the year and all the expenses which are incurred during the year have to be recognized in this statement, have to be disclosed in this statement. When developing or revising standards, the board note that it might require an income and expenses to be represented in the other comprehensive income if it results from remeasuring an item to current value, and if this means that profit or loss provides more relevant information or more faithful information is provided of an entity's performance. ठीक है? Done. Income and expenditure included in other comprehensive income should be reclassified to profit or loss when results providing more information. So basically, what was the reason the statement of other comprehensive income was introduced? We have discussed that in FR syllabus, in other comprehensive income, we disclosed all the incomes which are not realized in cash to the entity. For example, when an asset is revalued, the revaluation surplus or the gain, we can say, which arises to an entity is classified in OCI. We mention it in OCI. ठीक है? According to IAS 16 or property, plant and equipment, or IAS 40, any gain arising on the property is to be shown in revaluation surplus in the statement of changes or other comprehensive income. Why? Why we have not shown it in profit or loss? The reason behind this is that the profit or loss includes those income or expenses which are actually realized in cash, because they are more relevant, because they provide more information about the future cash flows or the cash inflows or outflows of the entity in the past 1 year. In OCI, those income are mentioned which have not realized in cash, which we have discussed. Two items are presented in statement of other comprehensive income. Which are these two items? These are revaluation surplus arising from the revaluation of asset, and second, financial assets and liabilities which are revalued. ठीक है? Next. Then they are saying income and expenditure included in other comprehensive income should be reclassified to profit or loss. When doing so, results in profit or loss providing more relevant information. However, the board may decide reclassification is not appropriate if there is clear basis for identifying the amount or timing of reclassification. We can so basically the result, what is the meaning of this line is that if we can reclassify this in P&L, if we come to the circumstances that the asset or liability is realized in cash. जब हमें ये लग रहा है कि अब ये relevant information, that particular in circumstances that particular item is giving relevant information, then we can classify it in profit or loss. Done? ठीक है. Next topic. So the next topic of our video is understanding two cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are digital currencies that operate independently of a central bank. Some businesses now accept cryptocurrencies in place of traditional currencies. The market price of cryptocurrency is highly volatile. But the cryptocurrencies, basically these are digital currencies rather than using traditional currencies. And the prices of these currencies are highly volatile. This means that the prices of these currencies changes very frequently. Investors can earn large returns by buying cryptocurrencies on an exchange when the quoted price is low and selling on an exchange when the quoted price is high. Obviously, when the quoted price is low, the entity will buy the cryptocurrency, and then it seems that the prices are on a rise, the entity will sell so that it can gain profit. Cryptocurrencies have proved problematic with regard to financial reporting because they do not seem to fall within the scope of IFRS or IAS standard. Till now, no IFRS or IAS standard has been issued for the measurement of these which gives measurement criteria for these cryptocurrencies. As such, preparers of financial statements must use the conceptual framework. So obviously, the conceptual framework suggests if for a particular situation you do not have any IFRS or IAS standard applicable, then we can use conceptual framework to devise an accounting treatment that provides useful information to financial statement users. Okay. Using the conceptual framework, discuss how an entity might account for an investment in cryptocurrencies that it holds to trade. Basically their requirement is that what is the viewpoint of our conceptual framework in measuring these cryptocurrencies. ठीक है. So let's see हमारा जो आंसर है वो देखते हैं. क्रिप्टोकरेंसीज पे क्या कहना चाहते हैं वो. One of the purpose of conceptual framework is to assist preparers of financial statements when no IFRS standard applies. We came to know this situation a little bit earlier. मतलब हमने ये पहले ही पढ़ चुके हैं हम. We have already read this. The definition of an asset in conceptual framework is an economic resource controlled by an entity from the past. We have discussed earlier that what is the economic resource, what is the meaning of economic resource. Basically, economic resource means which is controlled by an entity, a benefit which is controlled by an entity as a result of past event. Cryptocurrencies meet this definition because it can be traded or used to buy goods and therefore have the potential of producing economic benefits. Cryptocurrencies are classified into the economic resource because they have the potential to produce economic benefits to the entity. Items should be recognized in financial statement if they meet the definition of an element and if recognition provides relevant information and faithful representation. Again, they are coming on the fundamental qualitative characteristics. What are the fundamental qualitative characteristics? The two qualitative characteristics are the item should be relevant and faithful representation. ठीक है? So they are saying if they meet the definition of an element and which is relevant, which provide relevant information and have faithful representation, then we will recognize it in financial statement, otherwise not. ठीक है? If cryptocurrency is traded, then information about such investment will help users when assessing an entity's future cash flows. As such, recognition is appropriate. ठीक है? When measuring elements, the conceptual framework outlines two broad measurement bases, historical cost or current values. While we are measuring an item, the conceptual framework gives two choices. Either measure it at historical cost or measure it at current value. ठीक है? When selecting a measurement basis, the conceptual framework states that relevance is maximized. While selecting the choice, which we have given in which the conceptual framework has given to us, the two fundamental qualitative characteristics should be maximized. If the following are considered, the characteristics of the asset or liability, or the way in which the asset or liability will generate cash flow. ठीक है, we have to consider these two requirements. What are the characteristics of the asset or liability, and what is the future cash flows which are expected due to these assets or liability. ठीक है. In terms of future cash flows, many entities sell investment in cryptocurrency in order to benefit from their fair value gains. However, the historical cost of cryptocurrency may differ significantly from its current value. So, what is the reason for acquiring these cryptocurrency for the entity? The reason is that it can gain or loss. It can gain or loss from the fair value change. So, जो मेरा रीजन है इसको हिस्टोरिकल कॉस्ट पे वैल्यू करने का, वो खत्म ही हो जाता है, क्योंकि आई एम कंसर्न्ड ओनली विद द फेयर वैल्यू. As such, the shareholders of an entity that trades in cryptocurrencies are likely to be interested in the current value of the investment, because eventual sale will have a significant impact on future net cash flow. Moreover, under historical cost, information about value changes is not normally reported. We have already discussed it, that in historical cost method, according to historical cost method, we are not able to grasp the changes in the prices of cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency, the value of cryptocurrency, the prices of cryptocurrency is highly volatile. It is given in the question. ठीक है. And measuring it at historical cost, ये हमारा पर्पस ही डिफीट हो जाएगा. ठीक है. Therefore, it would seem that a measurement based on current value such as fair value will provide more relevant and timely information, which are the two fundamental and enhancing characteristics of the financial statement. ठीक है. The conceptual framework notes that profit or loss is the primary source of information about an entity's economic performance. However, income and expenses might be reported in other comprehensive income, and expenses might be reported in other. However, income and expenses might be reported in other comprehensive income if it results from remeasuring an item to current value, and if this means that profit or loss provides more relevant information or more faithful representation is provided in entity's performance. ठीक है. So basically we have discussed in previous topic that the profit or loss provide the information which is more relevant. The basic criteria of differentiating profit or loss and other comprehensive income was that the gains or losses arising in other comprehensive income was not realized in cash to an entity. So they are separately disclosed under other comprehensive income. ठीक है. While the value of cryptocurrency is highly volatile, that value is likely to be extracted from short-term sale. As such, it would seem that reporting gains and losses in P&L would provide the most relevant information about economic performance in the period. Means we are classifying the gains or losses from the cryptocurrencies in P&L. The reason behind this is that जो लॉसेस या जो हमने क्रिप्टोकरेंसीज अपनी रखी हुई है, वो किसके लिए रखी है? फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ ट्रेडिंग. एंड these gain or losses will arise in short term only, because whenever the price will rise from the cost of the asset, we will sell it, and accordingly a gain will arise to the entity. So this is the reason why the P&L, why the cryptocurrencies, the gain or loss from the change in value of cryptocurrencies should be represented in P&L. In conclusion, by applying conceptual framework and appropriate accounting treatment for an investment in cryptocurrencies would be able to remeasure the investment to fair value at the reporting date and to present the resulting income or losses in the statement of profit or loss. ठीक है, डन. नेक्स्ट पार्ट, नेक्स्ट है क्रिटिसिज्म ऑफ फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग. There are some elements, there are some areas of conceptual framework which has been criticized. We will discuss in this topic what are the criticisms. The conceptual framework provides a principle-based approach to financial reporting. However, users are increasingly critical of the very nature of financial reporting. As a result, new form of non-financial reporting have emerged, which are discussed in later in this text. Okay. Some of the criticism क्या है? Historical information. The statement of profit or loss shows the performance of the entity over the past reporting period. However, the investors are more interested in future profit. Moreover, by the time financial statements are published, the information presented will be several months out of date. We know that कि जो फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स होती हैं उसमें जो इंफॉर्मेशन प्रेजेंटेड होती है वो समवट ओल्डर हो जाती है जब तक वो इंफॉर्मेशन पब्लिश्ड होती है. एंड इफ द इन्वेस्टर इज इंटरेस्टेड इन इन्वेस्टिंग मनी इन एन एंटिटी, he is interested in not the past of the entity, he is more interested in the future cash flows of the entity, so that he came to know, so that वो इस रिजल्ट पे आ सके कि whether he will be able to get returns, appropriate returns from its investment or not. So this is a drawback because of the financial statement. Why this is a drawback? Because statement of performance which we prepared in the financial statement show past information rather than future. But investor is concerned more in future cash flows rather than past cash flows. ठीक है. Next, unrecognized assets and liability. Some assets and liabilities are not recognized in the financial statements prepared using IFRS standards, such as internally generated goodwill. A company's reputation and its employee skills play a pivot role in its success, but these are unrepresentative on the statement of financial position. We have already discussed that employees are like assets of the company. ठीक है. Like we have discussed our understanding one, in which bottle have internally generated brand name, but we are not able to recognize this in our financial statement because of inherent limitation of the our conceptual framework. Our conceptual framework does not provide any criteria till now whether how to measure these items which have uncertainty in measurement. ठीक है. Clutter. Financial reports have been criticized in recent years for becoming increasingly cluttered as a result of extensive disclosure requirements. These disclosures can be very generic and they make it harder for the users to find relevant information. Next part is in this topic, it is ये इसमें ये लिखा है कि financial statements, we have discussed a lot of standards till this level. In every standards, the disclosure requirements are different, and the disclosure, there are a lot of disclosure requirement. When as a viewer of a financial statement, I am viewing the financial statement, I am not able to categorize which disclosures are important or which are not. ठीक है. Financial or non-financial information. Current and past profit and cash flows are not the only determinant of future success. Long-term success is also dependent on how an entity is governed, the risk to which it exposed and how well these are managed, and whether its business activities are sustainable into medium and long term. Financial statements prepared in accordance with IFRS standards say little about these areas. ठीक है. So basically financial statement does not show whole of the non-financial information. ठीक है. Estimates. Financial reporting uses many estimates. Estimates are subjective and could be manipulated in order to achieve particular profit targets. the subject nature of estimates and reduces comparability between companies. There are a lot of estimates involved while preparing financial statements, like depreciation. While calculating depreciation, we have to estimate the life of the asset. So on the basis of which we will charge depreciation on that asset. Now, for a particular asset, and one entity have different point of view regarding its life, or the another entity may have different point of view regarding its life. हमारे जो conceptual framework है, इसमें थोड़ा सा हमारे कंसेप्चुअल फ्रेमवर्क की वीकनेस है कि ये प्रेस्क्राइब क्राइटेरिया नहीं बता पा रहे हैं फॉर द एरियाज इन विच एस्टिमेशंस आर इन्वॉल्व्ड, एंड द एरियाज इन विच एस्टिमेशंस आर इन्वॉल्व्ड मैनिपुलेशन भी सबसे ज्यादा उसी में हो सकती है. ठीक है. प्रोफेशनल जजमेंट. फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग रिक्वायर्स जजमेंट. For example, judgment is required by lessors when classifying a lease as finance lease or an operating lease. Subjective decisions reduce comparability. Different viewpoints may be adopted by the entity of the conceptual framework for the same thing. One entity may go for the operating lease and one entity may classify it as under finance lease. So these will reduce the comparability characteristic of the financial statements. ठीक है. अब use of historical cost. Some accounting standards such as IAS 16 property, plant and equipment permits assets to be measured at historical cost. In times of rising prices, the statement of profit or loss will not show a sustainable level of profit. We have discussed the disadvantages of using historical cost method in this video earlier also. ठीक है. Historical cost does not provide true picture of the entity's asset. The investor is interested in knowing the fair value of the entity on the date when he is viewing the financial statements. The fair value of the asset, sorry. But the asset is shown at historical cost. ठीक है. सो क्या होता है, हिस्टोरिकल कॉस्ट जो है वो सस्टेनेबल प्रॉफिट डिराइव करने में हेल्प नहीं करती, उतनी रेलेवेंट इंफॉर्मेशन प्रोवाइड नहीं करती. पॉलिसी चेंजेस. सम स्टैंडर्ड्स सच एज IAS 16 प्रॉपर्टी प्लांट एंड इक्विपमेंट एंड IAS 40 इन्वेस्टमेंट प्रॉपर्टीज allow entities to choose between cost and fair value models. So these standard IAS 16 and IAS 40 provide choices to the preparers of financial statement. Either they can use fair value model or they can use cost model. Suppose one entity may choose cost model and one entity may choose fair value model. Then also the comparability characteristic will weaken. Comparability will decrease for that particular in between that particular financial statements of the two entities. ठीक है. Next part of our video is IFRS 13 fair value measurement. This part we will cover in next video. यहाँ पे इस वीडियो को अब एंड करते हैं. जो IFRS 13 fair value measurement आपका टॉपिक है वो नेक्स्ट पार्ट में कवर करेंगे. ठीक है. थैंक यू.